Hello, Dr. Chidi.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here in Portugal for I think the second time.
Oh, I think it's probably the third time. Yes.
Third time.
Yes.
Okay. The second time I think was for, or the first time I don't know, for a youth health congress.
That's right.
Yeah. We are here just to introduce Dr. Chidi because he's here for being with us in a small congress for health and for the Adventist professionals that are working in health, and we want you to share with us what are the news, and you have big affirmations when you call, you have like a way of doing things to prevent and even reversing disease.
Well, that's right. Thank you. It's really been the joy of my life to discover this. This is almost miraculous. You know, when I went to medical school, the first thing that my head of medical school asked me was, "Well, Chidi, why do you want to be a doctor?" And I said, "Well, because I want to cure people." And he looked at me quite seriously and said, "We don't cure people, we treat people." And that's kind of been the message of medicine throughout our lives. But I realized very early on in life that many of these chronic diseases that we have, they can be cured. Many of these diseases, we call them lifestyle diseases because it's our lifestyle that gets them into this condition. For example, if somebody smokes, well, that's a lifestyle choice. It causes heart disease, it causes cancer, we know that. Well, many of the diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, heart disease, because of our lifestyles we get into them, and therefore, because of our lifestyles we can get out of it. If we're quite disciplined about it and we're determined, we can actually do it. And it's been my joy and pleasure to show people how to get back to health. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about whilst I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And the question comes right our minds, and it's why and how can we do this?
Well, it's a good question. What we have to remember is that the body is so perfectly designed that it always wants to heal itself. That's how God designed us. I'll give you an example. If you make a little cut in your skin, well, after a few days you're going to see it's going to start to heal up, and after a few months you won't even see it. If you did that to the most expensive Ferrari on the street, you scratch the side, doesn't matter how long you leave it, it's never going to heal itself. Our bodies are designed that way. Yes.
With materials, it's getting worse.
Exactly right. It gets worse. But we are so beautifully designed that any insult in our bodies have been designed to repair themselves. But the problem is, for example, if I give you an example, if I hit you on the arm with a bat, it will bruise. That bruising is starting the healing process. If you leave it alone, the bruise will go away and you wouldn't be able to tell that I hit you. Now, if I kept on hitting you, well, that bruise wouldn't be able to settle. It may bleed, it may become infected, you may even lose your arm. And that's because you're continuing to insult your arm. That's what we're doing with all our bodies. If we eat the wrong things, if we think the wrong things, if we're not exercising, drinking enough water, it's like we're insulting the body, we're hurting the body. And all we have to do is take away some of those insults, and the body wants to repair itself.
Mm-hmm. And we can do this to our body,
yes.
But it's possible to do it to our brain.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you know, the brain is the most complicated organism in the known universe. There's nothing as complicated as the brain. We've got about 100 billion nerve cells, probably over 100 trillion connections. We don't fully understand it. I've done neurosurgery in my lifetime. There's no neurosurgeon I've ever met. I've met some very good ones who fully understands the brain. But we know it's the seat of our mind, the seat of our thought. And what we do know, we can see, is that as we think the right thoughts, it doesn't just cure our brains, it cures the rest of our bodies. In the old days, they used to believe that, we become upset and disagreeable if something happens to our bodies. But actually, we now know that most of the sickness starts in our minds. So even high blood pressure, think about it, stress, that's from our mind. Sometimes even dealing with things like cancer. Well, if you're stressed all the time, from your mind, you release all of these hormones that knock out your immune system, that make you susceptible to cancer. So many diseases start in the mind. So the key is to cure the mind. In fact, I say, the three things you really have to address are the meals, the movement, and your mindset. If you can address those three, you get help.
Yeah. It's the things that I will ask you. If you can put numbers or give us 2, 3 of most important things, and it's these 3: movement, mindset, and meals.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the important ones of each one?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the meals. A healthy plant-based meal is pretty much the basis of curing most lifestyle diseases. Healthy plant-based, they can be unhealthy plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
But beans, greens, vegetables, seeds, fruits, all of those things, if you're taking those on a daily basis, they are giving your body everything that they need to repair itself and to cure itself. So that's the basis of it. On top of meals, let me put water in. You can't talk without water. They're mainly made up of water, and we're not consuming enough water. Water is the substance in which all the billions and trillions of reactions take place in our bodies. So the more water we have, the easier life becomes. Let's talk about movement. Let's talk about some things that we don't normally do, like stretching. It's all very well exercise, all about stretching. By stretching every day, by making sure those joints are being put under a certain amount of tension every day, you're building up great habits for the future. You're making sure that you don't get so injured later in life.
As I am seeing the new program that Netflix has on the blue zones.
Oh yes, of course.
And you can see in Japan,
They do it in groups.
Yeah, and they sit a lot on the floor.
Yes.
They have stronger legs,
Absolutely.
stronger back,
Yeah.
and you can see that they are going to 100 years.
Absolutely. And we don't realise that this is so important. When I was a junior doctor, I used to go to elderly homes, old people's homes, and many of those elderly women couldn't walk. And when I asked, well, why can't they walk? There's nothing wrong with them. They just spend so much time sitting down. They don't use their muscles. So stretching and using those muscles is vital for really investing in your health later in life.
And if we have to talk about mind, what is the mindset? What is the most important thing?
Yeah, well, you cannot get beyond forgiveness. Forgiveness is, I'm going to say forgiveness is the root for health. When people understand how to forgive, it releases them from a lot of pain, guilt, and bitterness. That bitterness is real. It starts to eat away at our own bodies and our minds. The good news is this: look, it's difficult to forgive. It may take you years to fully forgive. But even when you start the process, your body starts to heal. Just thinking about forgiving, blood pressure starts to come down. You release fewer stress hormones. So that is my number one thing when it comes to mindset, because it's at the heart of just about every disease. If you don't forgive, you are more stressed, you will eat poorly because of your stress, you'll smoke, you'll drink, you'll say all sorts of things that are wrong. Getting to the heart of forgiveness is key.
Yeah. And if we talk about forgiveness, I think we have to talk about our faith, really.
Absolutely.
And where we put faith.
Yeah,
all this.
Well, that's right. So if I say forgiveness is at the root, one of the best ways to understand forgiveness is to understand that we are forgiven. It's a difficult thing to forgive unless you understand that you have been forgiven much more than anybody has hurt you. And that gives you a head start. I think it is the overwhelming umbrella that leads us to a place of forgiveness. Truly understanding how we are so far from God, yet He has reached out for us, He's given us everything. That gives us the power to be more forgiven. It's amazing, you know, everything that God instructs us to do is not just one dimension. He'll say forgive, but in asking us to forgive, He's saying, I want you to be healthy. I want you to have a hopeful future. He's wanting to free us. So, yeah, I'm happy that I can be with you because it's good for me to talk about the mind, the body, and the spirit. I don't think you can be really healthy unless all of those things are together.
Exactly. Okay. It was very good to be with you and to understand a little bit your mindset on health. And it's nice also to understand that you put all the things that you say that it's important in your daily life. The other day when I called you, you were in the gym.
That's right.
You just say that it's important, but you try to do it in your life. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And we hope that it's been a pleasure and a blessing for everyone here in Portugal.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it was very good and it was a pleasure for us.